Hello, welcome to the Kam Johal show. We're recording another episode in our studios in West Bromwich. And today my guest is a incredible young man, very, very creative, who's forging a career in something that's quite unusual and quite different. For now, you know, we've always had these types of people in the past, back in our history, and they seem to have disappeared by the fact that we seem to be following more traditional careers. But I hope that some of you that are looking for some inspiration to do something different will take note today and learn something. So welcome to the show, Vik Kainth.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so welcome. So we were talking. Tell me, you know, what kind of family you come from, and when was it that your parents ultimately were disappointed by the fact that you weren't going to be an accountant or a solicitor?
So I come from a Hindu Punjabi background.
Yeah.
I guess it took a bit of convincing, but they might still be disappointed in me.
Do you think?
No. I'm definitely doing what I love, so I'm sure they're happy as well. You know.
Yeah, sure.
That it's something that I'm passionate about, and I'm just, continuing along the line of what I always intended I wanted to be, which is an artist.
Yeah,
you know.
I think it's interesting because I interview quite a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And the younger community, as it were. So we've had DJs that still went to uni and got their degrees. Yeah. And you're similar. Sure. Studied here in Birmingham. Yeah. What was your degree in?
Visual communication. It's a fancy term for graphic design.
Okay, so related to what you're doing now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you enjoy that?
I did enjoy it. I mean, it's always uni's always an interesting experience. Living out. I never intended on doing so. I did try and initially go to unis in central London, graphic design universities.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you hail from East End of London?
Yeah, East of London. Yeah.
Oh, East of London. So Londoners want to come out to, obviously, see real Punjab, which is Birmingham, right?
I mean, we have Southall in West London as well.
Yes, you do.
Which is basically India.
Yes, yeah. So what was it like coming away and living in the Midlands?
I think it was nice to get away from the hustle and bustle of London, but you tend to miss home. Again, it's just an experience of living out. Yeah, I think. But just meeting so many friends and new people and opening my eyes to this part of the UK as well. I've never. Before then, I've never been to Birmingham so much. Yeah,
because Londoners tend to think that's England, don't they? Right.
When someone says they're going to the UK, they usually think, okay, cool, London, that's it. Yeah. But there's so much more to it.
So that's and I've not discussed this before. So you came away from London, and whereas a lot of kids from the rest of the country go into London. Yeah. How would you say, how important is it to actually go to university out of your surroundings, out of where you are, as a growing up exercise? Because lots of our parents, would be saying, go to your home university, especially for girls. Yeah. And I understand that, we get that. Yeah. But how important was it for your maturing and growing up?
See, even for my sister, she went to Nottingham, and that's far away from home.
Yes.
Further than Birmingham.
Yeah.
And so I think when families want their kids to stay around home, it's about staying comfortable. Knowing that you have a home and you can have ready cooked food there waiting for you. It's a lot more easier, I think. But living out, I think it makes you think a lot more about what you spend your money on, the people you're with, getting out of your comfort zone, which I think it's a big part of developing your own self.
Yeah, and it kind of equips you, doesn't it? It's a practice run. Yeah. My twins, my daughter went to London, Queen Mary, and my son went to Exeter. Okay. That's a half a day away from Leicester.
Of course.
But what I always thought was that I dropped them off as children, and they came back 3 years later as adults. Yeah. And I'm so pleased that happened.
That's great.
Because no parent wants to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that everybody should do, but it's a good part of growing up, isn't it?
Of course, yeah. They're going to be worried. They're going to think, oh, when are they going to sleep? Who are they with? Where are they out at what time of the night? Yeah. And so it's like the parents have to let go of that control that they have that they probably feel like they should have over their kids. But then you have to grow up and you have to get out of that mindset of having control over your kids, because you have to learn somehow. I definitely had to learn a few things while I was out on my own as well, and just exploring that
very
freedom.
Interesting. One of my nephews wanted to go and set up a home in London.
Okay.
And their home city is Leicester. So the father said, look, we've got everything here, why do you want to go to London? So he said, Dad, you came from India, which is 4,000 miles away, left grandma and granddad, and I'm only going 100 miles down the road. And it kind of puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look how far our community's actually travelled,
Yeah.
whether it was your parents or grandparents that came here.
Yeah.
We came 4,000 odd miles,
Yeah.
and now when our kid wants to go 50 miles down the road,
If you guys can do it, we can do it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But it's nice to touch on these things, because I think we all love our children. We want to protect them. But then I think you're stopping that. I think you use the word development. And I think that's what is happening, is that you're hampering their development and stepping into adulthood. And
and that can be sometimes a bit of a fear in the minds of parents, I think, because nowhere is safe in the world these days,
No, but stats proved that you're in no more danger today than you were 20 years ago.
Of course.
Right? It's just that it's
every
reported.
day you wake up, the moment you even step out your house, you're still in somewhat danger, but we can never, get away from that.
I think there's two elements, isn't there? One is control, and the other is love. Right? The thing is that, you're not in control of anything now.
Of course.
Because I won't call them children, because you're not a child at 17, 18, but they can be doing anything on their phone.
Sure.
They can be in touch with anybody in any part of the world. So that element is gone. There's no control is there. But there's definitely benefits, long-term benefits, for going away, making new friends.
Absolutely.
And seeing another part of the country.
Absolutely. I mean, like they often say that before you travel the world, you should get to know your own home first. And saying your own home means I could go to Scotland or Wales and learn about the culture there, how it differentiates to where we are so much. We're on the same island, but things can change, just like 200 miles down the road.
Absolutely. Well, they do, don't they?
So, exactly.
Okay, so you go, you do university, get your degree, go back home. So what do you do then?
So I mean, from university, I learned a lot about myself in terms of myself as a creative. After coming out of uni, there was this kind of like a bit of a void where I didn't know what to do, because I was constantly still doing client work here and there with custom artwork and stuff, but it was never refined to the point where I am now, because having to learn how to register myself as a self-employed artist, doing my own tax returns and, learning about all that stuff, because I've never been too business minded, but it's something that I had to kind of realize and do myself, which was fine.
So you didn't seek employment after you left university?
No, I did before. So I used to work for Curry's before I went to uni, which is the typical every Indian guy that works at, selling hi-fis and TVs. There you go. But I realized that wasn't for me. Working for someone else, I could have done that afterwards as well, after uni. My parents always asked me, why don't I work for an agency, a design agency or something? And in my mind, I never wanted to be stopped from what I wanted to create. Rather, if someone told me, here's a brief, here, make this, I wouldn't have that same passion and drive for it. So this way I have control over what I do, freedom of creating endlessly, and just thinking for myself.
It's the field that you're in, it just doesn't lend itself to being employed, does it? No, that's not going to happen, is it?
If anything, it's so much more fun just meeting new clients and the possibilities of the people you can connect with. It's an open field.
Okay. So what were the early days like? So you lived at home? So did you have to make money? Did it have to be profitable? Or did mum and dad subsidise everything?
They wanted me to do something that was more profitable than what I'm doing now.
Yeah, make your own goddamn money, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I played ball on the side, so that was always like a bit of an income, during the summer, playing at gigs and stuff, which was always fun. And that's another creative outlet for me,
Sure.
And even making music. I love making music, which
do you
is a
still
big
do
influence.
That?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big influence into my creative, like my artwork and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think as I was kind of growing up, always wanting to draw things and if I ever went to the library and got a book, it was never a novel. It was a how to draw buildings or cars and stuff like that. So I always opened myself up to a creative sector all the time. When it came to school, I think art was the one thing that I always got an A in, and I think that became obvious to me, that I have a big love and passion for it.
And so you followed your passion?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's quite a rare thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how many of your friends that you went to uni with do you think followed their passion?
I think a lot of them did, which I'm proud of them for doing that as well, because I guess we do uni and then people think that, okay, you just go into a 9-to-5 job, which is absolutely fine for some people.
Of course.
But are they actually happy doing that? Or is it something that is, I guess, expected of them to get into a 9-to-5 job? And so I felt like I'm just not that person. I want to be awake all night creating artwork and sleep in the morning hours when people are going to work, getting up to go to work, and that's what I still do. Yeah. My mum's like, why don't you sleep at a normal time? I'm like, what is normal?
Vic, why are you not a normal boy?
I don't know. You know what? But I love being different, and that's what makes me stand out, and that's my persona as an artist. I'm not. I guess it's also come with the fact of when people look at me, they think, okay, this guy's got tattoos, he must smoke, he must drink. I don't drink, I don't smoke,
Why not? Just kidding.
It's not, it's not that it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just not me, but I guess it's assumptions that people make.
Because we do that, we pigeonhole people, and like you said, you're not conventional, if you like. Yeah. And so then they assume everything else as well.
Yeah.
Right? But look, that's people.
That's always going to happen,
yeah.
and I expect that from people anyway.
Yeah. So how much of where you are today was down to the fact that whereas your parents may not have liked the idea of what you were doing, because it's not safe, right? They just want they care for you, and they want to know that you're going to go into some safe kind of employment.
Safe in the sense that I would be financially
exactly
stable. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but they didn't discourage you, did they?
No. I think it was always one of the things of, look, if you're going to do it properly.
Yes.
And don't do it half-heartedly, which I definitely don't. I commit myself to the art like 100%. And I think that shows in the hours and the love and time and the detail that I put into the artwork a lot of the time. Because that's what stands out. That's what people have started to know me for as well. Getting commissioned by the BBC to do artwork on articles of alcoholism in the Punjabi community. These are important topics and important things that I depict, and I always call it illustrating for the future, because if I'm doing something that I can provide for younger generations and the future generations as well, I think that's something powerful for them to see, because I've grown up researching artists and having seen how they can influence me as an artist. Now I'm somehow influencing younger artists and other people as well, to do something creative, which I think is needed more of, and we support each other.
How does that make you feel? Because you're 29?
Yeah, I'm 29 now.
So you're influencing and people see you as a role model?
Yeah.
Right? And have you got direct involvement with any youngsters?
So I've often been asked to do talks in schools, like Khalsa schools and stuff like that, so that I'm setting up mini exhibitions. My mum works in a school as well, so I've gotten to set up these mini exhibitions and speak to the kids and tell them that I'm an artist full time. And so with their parents there, I can open up their minds to encourage it, for the parents to encourage their kids to do creative fields, like if they love photography, if they love movie making or singing, dancing, anything. I think that's that's what a lot of parents need to open up to their kids a lot more.
Yeah,
now,
I think it's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's definitely happening.
Yeah.
That parents, want their kids to be happy.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when they see me talk to these kids and relate to them, answer their questions, and it's so enlightening to hear the questions that they have, because I guess they've never had anyone to ask those questions to, So I would always be very honest about how it is being a full-time artist. It's never easy. And people might think, oh yeah, but you draw all day. That's it. What's not fun about that? But there are the hardships that come with it. I've only recently, someone broke into my car and took all my work.
Oh.
They took my laptop, things that I've spent years developing and working on, and that was a hard time for me. There's been times where I've lost my creative flow, and so they call that the art block, and that happened during uni at one point as well.
How do you cut? Because I write.
Yeah.
And then there's times when I'll knock out a couple of thousand words and it's 10-15 minutes. Then there's other times when you just can't write 2 words, can you?
Yeah.
So I just go away from it and come back. What do you do?
Which is exactly that. I think what I encourage people to do is detach from it, because if you have a true love for something, getting away from it, you'll find that inspiration again.
Yes.
You need to let yourself breathe. I think as much as we love what we do, we overwhelm ourselves without even thinking about it, because we're doing it 24/7.
Yes.
It becomes your daily. You wake up, you do it, and then you go to sleep. And so to detach from it is important, just to let yourself realize that you have a passion for it. And so you always come back to it with a fresh mind. We can be inspired by anything these days.
Yes, of course.
It's just about opening yourself up to those things.
Okay, so one of the things that you talked about is, like you said, people may think it's just fun, you get to paint, or you get to do whatever it is that you love all day.
Yeah.
But there's also running a business, right?
Yeah.
So then that comes with, like you said, tax returns and accountants and bank balances and have I got any money for next week? Right?
Yeah.
So, and then whilst you're starting out, you're doing all of that yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
So where did you learn that from, or have you learned it, or are you still struggling with it?
I mean, the internet's full of so much information, even stuff about intellectual property law and stuff, to do my own copyrights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because that's important for me to protect myself as an artist.
Absolutely.
And I think me learning about all that, how the terminology is, making my own terms and conditions, documents and stuff, it needs to be correct, but also what works for me, And so when I converse with clients and develop artwork for them, they want to know that they're working with a professional.
Yes.
I make myself professional but fun at the same time,
Yeah.
Which is what I think they like.
Yes.
Because otherwise you don't want to be like, okay, can you make this artwork of me? I'll be like, yes, this is how much it's going to cost, that's it, done. I want to get to know that person. I want to be able to understand them, their history, or what they want to portray in the artwork, because there's so much emotion.
I was going to say, the thing is that your work is just emotion, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
it's visually depicting emotion, and a lot of what I'm doing now is depicting that of females. So a lot of Maharanis, and being very empowering of the female figure, because there's so many different females out there that are doing amazing things. So for a guy to be doing that opens a lot of people's eyes, to what's possible. And I think I'm doing a good thing by doing that, and that makes me happy, to depict a lot of females.
I was going to come to that. So the subject, so you do a lot of religious stuff, Sikhism, Hinduism. Yeah. First of all, where's the inspiration come from? What is your style, and where does that come from, or what inspired you to get into that? Because you could have done anything.
Sure.
Yeah. The traditional artist doing portraits or landscapes. I mean, you're so far removed from that. It's unreal, right?
Yeah. So I mean, at first I did a lot of celebrity portraits. Yeah. I'm losing my words, but
it's okay. You're an artist, right? Not a wordsmith.
I mean, actually, I love poetry. A lot of my captions are poetic, and so I remember at school when doing English, poetry was my thing. It was my jam. So now I still bring that in with my artwork in my captions on Instagram and stuff, and a lot of people love reading that kind of stuff. But yeah, so from doing portraits like that, I felt like every artist is doing portraits of celebs and, you know, just tagging them so that they can get the following and the notice from them.
Yes.
But I was like, where's the originality? I want to be an artist that creates original content, you know, things that have never been seen before. So I started going down the route of doing gods and goddesses, because there's so many paintings and depictions that are in like Gurdwara and mandirs and so on, and they're all painted. That's the thing, you know, which are beautiful, but everything is on your screen these days. People are like locked into their phones, into their iPads, you know, on TVs, and I felt like the artwork has never been transformed to a sense where it's modernized and vibrant and clean for like technology purposes.
For the digital age, right?
For the digital age, that's what it is. So I mean, that whole idea led me to realize that I'm modernizing traditional artwork. And I did a whole exhibition called Digitalize, as in eyes, but it's like I wanted to show that I've got all these, you know, I've depicted gods and goddesses in this beautiful format, and it can still be like visually appealing in galleries and as prints for people to keep in their homes, you know, and it has become that, which is great. I feel like we've come so far in like technology. There's like augmented reality and everything like that, you know, but for artists to depict what they can in a digital format is strong, it's powerful, and I'm trying to, I think, show that there's value in digital art as well, because a lot of people think it's very easy, it's very quick, we're using softwares, you know, and that it's just like effortless. However, hours, days, you know, months, weeks go into, you know, this kind of work, and to even think about the ideas and make them come to life is it's a myth sometimes. It's tough, you know, but once the final product is always worth that time and effort. So now, yes, I've come into being inspired by looking into culture, and not just Indian culture, it's Japanese culture, it's Arabic culture, it's Islamic culture, and all these elements that we can combine to create something that's like, you know, very different to the norm. Unique, you know.
Well, look, you've got an incredible melting pot in London. You know, very diverse, so like you said, and then with information being so readily available, it's very easy. It's at hand, isn't it? And when you talked about, you know, creating things and people think it's just a computer image, you know, one of my businesses builds websites. So I see my business partner, people will ring up and say, could you put this button there? And 3 hours later, you know, he's still doing it, because the client thinks, all you have to do is pop that there. And it doesn't quite work like that, because the button actually has to go somewhere, and all of that kind of stuff. So I see firsthand what it takes to create a page of what people just think, you know, that just slots in. It doesn't do it itself.
And see, because of like people not knowing how much time goes into it, I've started doing stuff like time lapses, explaining the process so that people can see how much time goes into this 1 minute time lapse that they've just watched, you know.
Brilliant.
And how every shape to build this image is done on a separate layer, and there's thousands of layers that build this final image that people can enjoy visually. And that's because of the time and detail and love that goes behind it, that not many people get to see. So to show that, you know, they can understand better like the kind of process that I go through. So a lot of it comes from the Mughal era. I think the Mughal era is one of the biggest inspirations in my artwork now.
Very ornate,
isn't
it? Very ornate.
Because when I did my research, and I do my research on a lot of, you know, subjects that I'm depicting, just so I know the story, the history, and I don't get things wrong. Sometimes you can offend people.
You want to be authentic, right?
Yes. As an artist, I think I've always, you know, beared in mind that if I put something out there, I need to be fearless about putting it out there, because I know I'll get people that will like it, I'll get people that won't care, I'll get people that will hate it as well. You know?
What do you do with the haters?
Got to embrace it.
Yeah, good.
I give them a reason to speak up, even if they are saying something negative about the artwork. It's for me to understand why that is as well. You know, because that's what I've put myself into. You know, as the creator of a lot of like imagery, it's not always going to, you know, be 100% with some people.
Yeah. Not everybody's going to like it, right?
Yeah, we can't please everyone.
Yeah.
And I've definitely come across the haters with a lot of the religious stuff. I think because everyone has a belief system, you know, and when I start defying that and putting out questions of what if, they feel challenged. You know?
Yeah. Well, the thing is this, that, you know, so in the Sikh culture, you know, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is probably the most painted depiction that you see. Yeah. And so we've got some very famous pictures that people will have seen all around all around the world. Yeah. So that's their concept. So, you know, and we were looking outside at such a depiction, and it was very contemporary. Yeah. At the same time, the detail was incredible. Yeah. But it was a completely different look. Sure. For Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Yeah. And then, you know, and I can understand. To me, it's refreshing. Yeah. Because there's no photographs of him. Sure. So none of us really knows what he looks like. Exactly. Right? Yeah. So the picture that everybody's referring to is by Sulba Singh, you know, and he's this very fair, you know, Father Christmas style man. And I'm sure we'd imagine that's how we want. Everybody wants their granddad to look like that, right? Of course. So I get that. But the reality may be somewhat different. Yeah. Exactly, so nobody's really got a right to argue with you that your depiction is any better or any worse than anybody else's.
Stories and depictions have what they've gotten from, you know, already illustrated pieces. So someone must have been told a story and depicted him as what we see today.
That's right.
You know, so that's stuck with people's minds. They believe that that's what's true. You know, but to get away from that, you know, it's not your norm, and it's like it's away from what people have been taught to believe. You know, so but I love breaking boundaries and, you know, really getting past what people have believed already, you know. So
are you happy to shock people?
Yeah. I think people need that sometimes, just to be like
jolt.
Right.
From being safe all the time.
Exactly. Okay. Otherwise, what comes from, you know, anyone who has done anything great in life has broken boundaries
all the time.
You know? Yeah.
And the other thing is that when anything new comes along, so there's a cycle. Yeah. You know, we live in denial first. It cannot possibly be right. Yeah. And then what happens is some people start thinking, maybe it's possible. Yeah.
It's a matter of.
Then eventually, you know, there was a day when we thought the world was flat, right?
Yeah. Okay. And then there's some people that still will believe that.
Well, but that's a different story, right? We've proven that it's not.
Of course.
So that's just I can't say what I think of them on this medium here. Yeah. But there was a time when that's what the world thought. That, you know, Columbus was going to go and fall off the edge. Yeah. And people didn't travel, did they? Because they thought they might fall off the edge of the world. Yeah. So there's lots of things.
It's these things that make people feel uncomfortable. Yes. You know. Now, when I depict a lot of females and Maharanis and stuff, I depict them with tattoos. I depict females together. I depict men together. You know, and so this challenge. What do you mean by
together?
Like in relationships
as a couple.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so that's not normal for people to see. And I mean, then again, the whole LGBTQ community is huge. Yes. And so I have gotten messages from people who love that stuff, but then also people who say that, oh, this isn't right, this shouldn't be like this. But then I'm like, okay, but what makes you feel that way, right? It's because they're uncomfortable seeing something like that.
Well, it's their own belief system. Yeah. And now you're challenging that.
Exactly.
So they're expressing themselves.
I've had the most amazing messages from people who say that this has, you know, brought me happiness because you are depicting two Maharanis, Indian females, together in love. And it's like, it's that simple emotion that I've brought out of someone and they can see themselves in the artwork.
Incredible.
You know, and I never intend to offend anyone, but if I can make someone feel a certain way, I think that's powerful on my part, you know, that I can depict something that someone can keep close to them, you know, and because often people don't see themselves in a lot of things that they are surrounded in, you know. So I think artwork is a powerful, subject in that sense.
Okay, so I've been collecting art for probably about 15 years.
Yeah.
Various artists, quite a lot of originals, some limited editions.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there's an artist called Govinda Nazram, unfortunately died in 2008.
Yeah.
And when I met him, he said I was the first Indian person he'd ever met that collected any art. So, which is interesting. I'm sure things have changed since then. Yeah. But who are your customers? Who buys from you?
A lot of newlywed couples. I do a lot of Maharanis, Maharajas, so they get a lot of
connection,
couple portraits done and stuff.
Okay, so that's commissioned pieces, right? So that's fine. Yeah. So people can come to you and commission you to do portraits of them. Yeah. But I'm talking about the work that you actually do, the Maharanis and the Maharajas, and the depictions of the gurus, and various. Because I also looked at the image that you did of the Golden Temple. Completely different. And you had to look for a few minutes,
of course,
to realise it was the Golden Temple. Because the angle that you took was different to everything that I've ever seen, which is wonderful. Right? Because who wants to see the same photograph?
Of course. And everyone's always seen the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's their idea of what the Golden Temple looks like. So you're looking at it through a different eye, but that's what the job of an artist is, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like the simple thing of just adding mountains and this foliage and, these waterfalls around it, it puts it in a whole different perspective and scene, which I can imagine and hopefully have someone else think, this can be somewhere that is real. It's a bit of a fantasy sometimes. I think one of my recent pieces, which you saw as well, is Heer Ranja.
Yes.
And this piece is so typically painted, where these two people are under a tree and there's a flute, and it's very nature driven. But I put them in this scenario where they're dancing in the middle of a car park. There's neons everywhere. There's this retro American diner vibe to it, and it's totally out of the norm,
So Heer Ranja for the modern era.
Yeah, exactly.
Or what Heer Ranja would have been like in the 50s, if they lived in America.
Yeah.
Right. Great.
Yeah, because it's that nostalgic feel to a lot of the artwork sometimes. Depicting these stories and scenarios that are so well known, but in this way that people can now see it and be like, I understand everything that's around it now as well, and it's so meaningful.
So those pieces, who buys those?
So anyone who loves art, anyone who has a new home and wants to just brighten up.
No, but is it the Asian community?
I think it is majority Asian community.
Okay, why do you think that is?
Because there's that traditional feel. They love traditional artwork and they've always got paintings in their houses, but there's nothing that makes them feel like it's today as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, when growing up, most of us had a depiction of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Gobind Singh, and then we also had Soni Mehwal, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which was really interesting in a Sikh house that you'd have, because they're total contrasts, aren't they?
Absolutely.
So, but it shows that we have always appreciated art in itself. Yeah. So you're kind of more towards the Soni Mehwal type thing. Yeah. Aren't you?
Yeah. And I think with all the figures that I'm depicting now is like my niche in taking every scenario that I can. I think people start calling me the Maharani man, which is weird, but it's like because I've depicted so many females in different ways in different scenarios, right?
Okay.
And really diving into their feelings, their emotions, and it's showing off that this stuff can be appreciated as well in a household as a gift, or I guess in the middle of an exhibition, which I have done as well before. And it's always opened people's minds a little bit more and think, that they can see stuff like this. Because art is everywhere. Everything is an art form. It's just that someone's perspective or how they perceive that artwork can change, opinions sometimes as well, which I think is great.
It's interesting. Yeah. I had the pleasure of meeting Lorenzo Quinn.
Okay.
Before the lockdown.
Yeah.
It was really interesting because I didn't know until then that his father was Anthony Quinn, the actor.
Okay.
So Lorenzo did some acting.
Yeah.
So I said, Lorenzo, tell me, you could have you followed your father's footsteps. And he said, yeah, Kam, I could have done.
Yeah.
But he said, this was my passion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he said, I've been almost bankrupt, had no money at all, right? And I've had all the highs, because his work's exhibited all over the world, absolutely incredible pieces.
Yeah.
And so he said, I could have done that easy road, but this was the road I really wanted to follow.
There's always the easy road.
Yeah. So that's true for you, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
I'm sure there was an easy career there somewhere, wasn't there?
Of course.
You graduate, because 90% of graduates don't follow the path of the subject that they've chosen. So you chose a completely different path for yourself.
Yeah.
But it's apparent to me that you were born to do this, and the passion that you have is clear to see.
Yeah.
So you'd have been a completely different person, wouldn't you, had you not done what you do now?
The thing is, I wouldn't know who that person is, because I've became who I am now. I've become who I am now, and it's like there's this quote from a song by a philosopher called Alan Watts, and at the end of the song he asked the question of, what do I desire? And I've realized that I'm desirable of creating artwork that people can love, and feel something from. And for me to do something that is following my passion, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else, because that's something that I've devoted myself to, and I think it's clear I devote myself to my art because
absolutely it's apparent.
It's on my skin.
Look, it's apparent from the minute that we met.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who you are, and you're just so happy in your skin.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So tell me something. So you left university, 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And at the times you may have wondered of going to do this, going to do that. There may have been moments, and then your parents would certainly try and cajole you into a normal. How happy are your parents now at what you're doing?
I reckon they're pretty happy. There's sometimes the odd moment where it's like, okay, they probably think that I just sit at home drawing or doing nothing.
Do they ever say, when are you going to get a proper job?
Not anymore.
That's finished now.
Not anymore. Yeah, I've gotten past that point now.
Brilliant.
Gladly,
Brilliant.
But for me, what is a proper job these days? I think.
Good point.
Yeah,
great point.
I think expectations of what is considered a proper job is sitting on a desk behind. I guess it's that office job.
I think the thing is, Vic, there are a million variations of that job now, isn't there?
Yeah.
Right.
You can turn anything into a full-time career these days.
I get paid for talking, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So and people say,
and many people do. Yeah.
One of my so at Christmas we went out for a meal, and one of my relatives, we were sitting down talking. He said, "You do property training, don't you?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Why do you do it?" I said, "Because I spent 25 years in that business.
Yeah.
So I wanted to teach people,
yeah,
how to get into the business of property." And we talked about it. Even as an artist, there's a business that you have to have underneath all of that.
Yeah.
Right. That makes it tick. And so he said, "But you don't do it for free, do you?" And I said, "Well, why would I? It's work. Why would I do it for free?"
Yeah.
And it's really strange. But because what it was because it wasn't a tangible thing that I built something, whatever it was. He couldn't understand why on earth people would come and pay me to listen to me to talk.
Yeah.
So, but so there's very, very many versions now of what is a career.
Of course.
And the other thing, of course, is that we face very, very challenging times in the future in this country and worldwide.
Yeah.
So the thing of having something that you can add value by.
Sure.
Is what will be the thing that you get paid for.
Yeah.
And that's all
the thing is, we never know what's going to happen in the next hour, the next day, or the next week, and I never plan anything, so I'm very much with the flow of, if I feel like I want to do something, I'll do it, but coming back to the thing of doing what you're passionate about, if I have some very smart friends who tell me and remind me, and even themselves who are self-employed as well, that if someone asked you, would you be doing this for the rest of your life, even if you weren't getting paid for it, would you say yes? And I said yes.
Absolutely.
Because I love it that much.
Yeah.
The money will always come and go.
Yeah.
And so yes, I'm aware that in my field, it's never consistent, and it sometimes has been tough times where there's months where there's no sales, there's no commissions. You know, what do I do with myself?
Yeah, but every business
I
goes
just create
through
more
that.
artwork.
Yeah, yeah.
There's always something.
But we talked about this before the show. You know, and I'll ask you now.
Yeah.
You know, success is different to everybody, isn't it?
Yep.
So piles of cash used to be the norm for a lot of people.
Of course. Yeah.
So, but that's not the case, is it?
Yeah, we're not taking that money to the grave with us.
Definitely not.
You know.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So, you know, what's success to you? So, Vik Kainth, what is success? So, if you were to be successful,
Yep.
what would that look like?
That is being proud of who you are. I think for me, I'm definitely proud of who I've become because art has made me that person. The experiences I've had has made me that person. You know, being fearless in putting out what I want to put out. You know, it's me being happy with what I've made. You know, because that's my creativity. I get to show that to the world, and people get to appreciate it. You know, that's my legacy. Success is one of those things that everyone thinks, yeah, like you said, you know, have a lot of money and, you know, a nice house, a nice car. You know, I'll happily wear black every day and show off my tattoos and, you know, drive my Golf about. That's it, you know. And it's being happy with the simple things, you know. If I can think of something and visually depict it and give it to someone, make them smile, make them cry, whatever it is, bring out that emotion, that's something that I've done for someone else, you know. And it's never for any bad reason, you know.
Well, putting a smile on somebody's face is priceless, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, look, you know, we talked again, you know, you're 29 now. So, you know, it's time for family and settling down and all the rest of that kind of stuff. Right? In the normal
in the norm, yeah.
Right? So, looking, you know, we're sitting here in 10 years' time at 39. So, what's Vik Kainth doing in 10 years' time?
God knows. I couldn't tell you.
Are you one of those people that just goes with the flow?
Yes, I don't know. Like this is the thing. I might have a gallery. I might have, you know, a whole different perspective on art. I might be making music full time. I might totally stop, but I know I'm definitely going to be doing something creative.
Yeah.
You know, but my long-term goal that I've always, you know, thought of is having a gallery, a space where I can give youngsters a place for their art. Because me growing up, trying to do exhibitions, I know it's expensive. I don't know how to do it, don't know who to go to, you know, and it's very difficult to learn these things and, you know, not, especially off my own back. I've never gotten sponsorships or anything like that. And that's why I'm so proud of me being able to pull those things off, you know, because my friends have helped me, you know, they're putting artwork on the walls for me while I'm trying to get other things ready, and to have people around me like that, you know, support me is amazing. But if I ever could provide a space for youngsters or even elder people as well to show off their creativity, that's the place that I want to be in.
Wow.
You know, because that's me pushing generations to continue being creative.
Yeah.
You know, inspiring more people to actually know that there's a space where they can do that. You know, I think that's what I definitely see myself doing, but I don't know whether that would happen in the next 2 years. You know, if that would happen in 10 years, 20, you know, things can always evolve and change.
Look, you've got to have an aim, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, you've got to know where you want to get to.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe you'll get there.
Yeah, somehow there will be a way to get there.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster, and I know that for sure. You know, like I said, when my stuff got stolen, that's literally my livelihood gone. You know, and that feeling, it was only in September.
Wow.
So it was very recent, you know. I've had to pick myself up, bring myself back, and come back better and harder and stronger, you know. Whereas that to think that someone can come by and just take that away from you.
It's part of life though, isn't it?
It's
It happens.
unexpected.
Yeah, you don't expect it, but it happens.
I didn't wake up
it?
thinking, okay, I'm going to lose my work at the end of today.
Builds character though, doesn't it?
Yeah. I have to, and this is the thing,
Yeah.
that would inspire my artwork more. That would inspire my motive to create something and depict something that can make the world a better place, hopefully. I think that is the mission at the end of it.
Fantastic.
I provide so much peace and love in the artwork and unity. I've done depictions of gods holding hands, everyone there's a piece that I've done called Unity, and it looks like a church, but there's a darbar, there's 3 different men, they're all on their knees praying, so everyone's equal. There's no like someone's higher than the other, there's no like one being. I try and keep everyone at a level, and I think that goes to show that there needs to be more of that positive unity.
Well, we need that coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
We've had a time to reflect, and I think we need a more level playing field.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's more time, and people like yourself, need to lead the way.
Hopefully, I'm trying. I think
and I can see that.
I will always be doing that as well. Giving someone that sense of a getaway. When they can immerse themselves in something that I've visually created, and they can get away from sometimes a tough life. And
Vic, you're an incredibly inspirational character.
Thank you.
And it sort of oozes out of every pore of your body, which is fantastic. I love seeing that.
Thank you.
And it makes and it brings joy.
Yeah.
And
that's all I ever want to do.
Fantastic. So look, opportunity for you.
Yeah.
So, I'm 15, 16, 14, whatever I am, or I'm 45, 50, and there's an artist in me or something.
Yeah.
What would you say to our audience now? So mum and dad saying, be an accountant, or whatever that feels like, right? What would you say? What would you do? What advice would you give?
I would say, don't be afraid to step out. Do something that makes you happy. And if you're actually generally happy about it, you will feel better about yourself as well. There's never an age where you're supposed to do something, get married at 23 or 26, or people say, get a job at this age, that you should be financially stable at this age. I can say that I'm 29 and, I don't have enough money to even think about buying a house or settling down, and I'm fine with that. It's because I'm happy doing what I'm doing at my pace.
Yes.
I think for anyone out there, explore. Take every opportunity to do what you want to do, and don't let anyone hold you back. The world is limitless.
Fantastic. And of course, we've learned something, haven't we, during the pandemic?
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate, very blessed in my own life, and I have some fantastic friends. And we're talking about all the material possessions that we have.
Yeah.
What good are they now?
Of course, yeah. That's the thing. It's like, what if you were locked up at home? What are you going to be doing?
What good is your fleet of 5 or 6 cars? Your 6 watches and your 50 suits, etc. There's nowhere to go.
No, of course.
Nobody to see your car, or no reason to wear a suit or a watch, or etc. etc. So it's a great time to reflect, isn't it?
It's because we get thrown into this routine. That's what life is.
We're on the treadmill, aren't we? The hamster wheel, people call it. It's interesting.
Someone knocks you off. What are you going to do?
That's right.
You have to get back up.
And the pandemic knocked us off, didn't it?
Yeah.
Listen, I could talk forever. It's been so interesting, but it's time for us to go.
For sure.
So guys, time beats us again. I hope you're inspired, and find Vik Kainth wherever you can. He's an incredibly
very easy to find
inspirational character. And if there's anything, follow your convictions, follow your passion, because you can clearly see that it's not work for him. And I'm very fortunate, because what I do isn't work for me. And then if it isn't work, then you're not labouring anything, you're not going to have a miserable life. And maybe you'll make some money and maybe you won't, but put that down the list of priorities. And it'll come if that's what you want. And there's no normal anymore. This is the new normal, and that's what we've got to get used to. So until next time, thank you so much for watching, and it's goodbye for now. Bye bye.